you guys have to remember that Wagner, they have provided their services, right, to a number of African countries and Syria. So Syria, Sudan, Central African Republic, and Mali. So in the Sahel region. And, you know, when you have people in the West whining about, oh my God, Russia is taking over Africa with Wagner. Hold on a second. What is Wagner doing in Africa? They're cleaning up the terrorists that the West allowed to ferment, right? The terrorism they allowed to ferment and the terrorists that they funded. If you go back to 2011, when they killed Gaddafi, right? 2011, 2012, just before this period, because the Syrian war starts in 2011. So it's the same period of so-called Arab Spring. Did you have this problem in the Sahel before that? Did you? To this extent? No, of course not. You're always going to find issues and little cracks, but just pay attention to when they start to become really big regional problems in the entire Sahel region. So this is, when they say Sahel, this is like basically right, you know, where sub-Saharan Africa begins, okay? Mali and so on. So if anyone, you know, you're mad at Wagner being there in the first place, like, you know, go complain to the ones that killed Gaddafi and allowed all this terrorism to spread, because Libya and Syria, they become like, you know, safe havens for these extremist groups, because they know there is no order anymore. There is no government anymore. We can just go there and do whatever the fuck we like. You know, we can all of these, you know, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all of these groups. They take advantage of situations created by Western governments. Fact. Period. The other thing is, the question now is, if Wagner is disbanded, ostensibly or truly, what does this mean for these countries that have purchased or solicited Wagner's services? I don't know. I don't know what this means, because, you know, my initial reaction would be that the Russians will help them out by substituting whatever Wagner troops are there with their own from the Russian MOD, or they will simply put pressure on the ones that are already there, make them sign contracts, incorporating them into the MOD anyway, right? I assume that the ones who are there want to keep getting paid, and they will sign the contracts. Again, I'm speculating, but this is just my, if I may say, my informed analysis of this question. And the other thing is that, you know, when it comes to China, and this is a side note here, you know, they say China is taking over Africa, right? Well, hold on a second. What is China doing that is bad? What, this so-called debt trap? This is quote unquote debt trap. You know, come on. I don't think any respectable person in the West has a right to start criticizing China and comparing that to I mean, you know, to actual debt traps and plundering. Like, you know, these African countries, a lot of them, they haven't even recovered from French and Belgian and you know, Dutch and British colonialism. So even if hypothetically you believe that China is doing something bad in Africa, which it's not, you know, even if you believe that, how do Western countries have a right to criticize? They should go worry about paying back reparations, you know, for countries that were enslaved, plundered, occupied. They should worry about that, yeah, because the Chinese are actually giving infrastructure and making deals instead of, you know, punching them down, you know, taking their resources by force. And you know, debt trap is something the IMF and World Bank are very good at. Yeah. So let's worry about them. I think China is, it's just more propaganda, you know, and they try to lump these two things together. Oh my God, Russia and China are taking over Africa. Shut the hell up.